So, in that first session on the forgiveness, I have talked about that is the definition of forgiveness, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others and forgiveness of situation, and therefore, we have to learn all the three types of the forgiveness, and for what? For forgiving others, that is the really one aspect, but another more important aspect what I feel is that is the let our negativity go. So, therefore, if we are having the anger, if we are having the hurt, feeling of hurt, right, as I mentioned in my previous session, and then if we have to say the sorry, and therefore, all these negative emotions, let it go, it should not be continue, and therefore, in that case that has to be the forgiveness of the concept of forgiveness. I will take it further with the help of this particular model, and this process model of the forgiveness talks about the influence of the social and cultural context. This becomes very important. Now, you see why some people are forgiving and some people are not, and the reason is it is an influence of the social and cultural context. A person, what type of society? What is the society? Family and friends. Right from the childhood, a person starts into the school, studying, a child starts into the school. The type of friends he has, the type of learnings, whatever he has heard directly or indirectly, whatever he has learned the either from the parents, from relatives, from the teachers, from the friends. So, that will build a personality, and therefore, that social environment that will play a big role in the development of that particular personality. And whenever we talk about the personality, then we talk about the attributes and determinants of personality, and this value system is the part of that. Another important aspect is that is about the what type of the culture. Culture means practices. What type of practices are accepted? Forgiving others is accepted or not, it is a cultural aspect. And if a person learn to forgive, forgiving is not a weakness, forgiving is a strength. Only if you want to add a particular private personality constant in this, then only concern is that is the whether the person is deserving or not. And how to decide that the person is deserving or not? We have to keep in three factors: himself, his situations and myself. If the situation demanded that even if this person is replaced, another person will take the same decision. So, do not blame the person, it is the situation which has caused him to do this particular problem or whatever the things which you have not liked are not acceptable. So, in this context, in cultural context and social context, injustice gap a threat to interpersonal harmony. Like here you will find that whenever we are talking about how is the interpersonal harmony is there. Now, in interpersonal harmony you will find what is most important, and the most important is that is the injustice gap is there. If there is a threat to interpersonal harmony is not there, then definitely there will be the situation, and this situation that is a transgression. If you connect here, that you find it is a transgression is there. So, this particular situation that will be a dialectical thinking both way thinking, and then there will be a causal attribution what will do. So, therefore, how it goes? It goes like injustice or threat to interpersonal harmony is there. This harmony with understanding dilateral thinking, it will go for the appraisal, and therefore, in that case it becomes very very important, that is the how do you are going to appraise. Now, here you cannot forget the role of emotions. So, role of emotions that become very very important. I will also take a session on moods and emotions, but before that I will like to say that is the in emotions, the outcome of emotions are because of the how you are socially engaged or not. You are socially engaged or socially disengaged. If this type of emotions are there, then definitely in that case you will find that given to the situation of your engagement in the society, your emotions will come out. Naturally, if you are socially engaged, what will be your emotions? Emotions will be positive, but if you are not socially engaged, right, then in that case the emotions will not be positive, will be there. So, what will be the causal attribution? Causal attribution will be that is a reappraisal. What will be the approach? Either you solve the problem or you avoid the problem. So, to the situation, either you will face the situation because your emotions that will lead you whether to solve or to avoid. Whenever this type of the reappraisal is there, then there will be, if you are socially engaged person, decisional forgiveness will be there, and decisional forgiveness that will be the, because you are socially engaged, you know today you are looking forgiveness from, he is looking forgiveness from you, tomorrow you may look forgiveness from others, because the time will not remain same all the time, and therefore, in that case your constants will keep on changing, your variables keep on changing, and then the situation may be totally different. Today you are in the position to forgive others, but tomorrow you may be in the position to seek the forgiveness from others, and therefore, keeping in mind all the situations, all the parameters, social engagement, constructive opinion, and then you take the decision of forgiveness is there. And whenever there is a forgiveness decision is there, right, it is a part of emotional. As I mentioned, that is the those who are more socially engaged, they will be more emotional, and when they will be more emotional, their decision will be the forgiveness to the others, and as a result of which there will be the expression of forgiveness, and the expression of forgiveness will talk about, that is the yes, you forgive others, and this is the whole process model of the forgiveness is there. Now, we will go into much detail, theoretical detail of the forgiveness, a multi-level model of the workplace forgiveness, and this is especially, this model is related to the workplace forgiveness is there. In workplace forgiveness model, it is the organizational environment, what type of the organizational environment is there, and if the organizational environment is there, whether it is in environment there is a national culture. For example, like we talk about the tolerance, we talk about the forgiveness, we talk about non-violence, and therefore, these are there are the certain cultural parameters are there. If these parameters are there, then you have to find out your self transcendent values. Your self transcendent values are whether it is the positive, it is existing, or it is not existing. If it is not existing, then in that case it will be very difficult to go for this particular concept of the forgiveness. Then when we talk about the self enhancing values, please understand you are at the workplace, and when you are at the workplace you have to see that is the you are going for this particular enhancing value system is there. So, if enhancing value system is there, you should be very careful, that is the your emotions, your values, they are going to be the part of these particular parameters of whether you want to forgive or you do not want to forgive is there. Similarly, for the stakeholder cultures, it will be the altruistic or it will be the agency is there, and whether it is the altruistic behavior is there, then definitely the stakeholder culture that will be very positive will be there, but if it is not, then there will be the negativity will be there. Third, in organizational environment, that becomes very important dimension, and that is geographic dispersion. Whenever we are talking about the geographic dispersion, then it becomes the interdependent. Now, you see the forgiveness tendency will be more when you are involved into interdependent work at the workplace. Your job description, your job subscriptions, your job specifications, all are contributing towards the interdependency. It is not like the second point is there, that is the independent. So, it is not independent, your nature of job is interdependent. So, interdependent means you some people are dependent on you at workplace, you are also dependent on some other persons, and therefore, this is the chain, and in this chain sometimes one may make mistake, other may not, sometimes other may make mistake, one may not. So, therefore, in that case you cannot say that is I will never do wrong, there is no need for forgiveness for me, no, it will not work. What is important is that is the you are interdependent and you have to do. Now, question arises, those who are doing independent, those who are doing the independent work, so their interaction with others is less. So, their dependency is not there, and therefore, it might be possible those jobs which are more independent and less interdependent, those jobs people will be having the less tendency for the forgiveness. Core cultural values and leader attributes are there. The core cultural values and leaders attributes that we will take one by one, that is the restorative justice orientation. So, therefore, what you do, that is the restorative justice that you are going to prefer, and therefore, in that case restorative justice that will create the solving the restorative dispute. So, therefore, whenever there is a restorative justice orientation with the restorative justice, definitely here that becomes very important, that is there will be the dispute resolution will be there, because what is the tendency? Tendency is to be restorative. While in the another concept which I will be discussing later on in detail also, and that is about how we are going for the servant leadership. If you are going for the servant leadership, it becomes very important, that is the how we are going for this particular aspect, and then in that case you will find that the servant leadership that is becoming very important. I will talk the different dimensions and practices of servant leadership later on also, because my one of the PhD candidate has done this particular work in servant leadership, that I will share with you later on. But to relate to the servant leadership and forgiveness, it becomes very important, that is whenever we are talking about the servant leadership, then the servant leadership means to serve others, and when your orientation, when your culture is to serve others, then in that case it becomes very important, that is you should have a value of forgiveness. If you have the high value of forgiveness, there will be the high style of the servant leadership. Another important factor which is very low, I talked in the earlier slide also, in forgiveness one also I talked about, That is, the forgiveness is possible when heart is full of love and compassion, and therefore, here you will also find that is the it becomes very compassion. See, compassion becomes the another factor, that is the how you can make the this particular concept of the compassion and the servant leadership and compassion. If your heart is full of love and compassion, then definitely in that case you will have the employee support program. Therefore, what will be the organizational practices? If this is the environment, please see the headings, do not forget to see the headings. If this is the environment and if this is the core culture, values and leader attributes, these will be the practices, very, very important. And because these practices will create the organization culture. So, for creating that particular organization culture, it becomes important, that is there is the practices of servant leadership and compensation, and if servant leadership and compensation is there, then there will be employee support program. The third, core culture, values and leader attributes which contributes in this particular model for the organizational practices is about self control and the temperance, that is the how temperament you have and the how you are having the self control, that becomes very, very important. If you have the high self control, right, and then high temperaments, then mindfulness training and appraisal will be there, and therefore, the employees will be having the practice of mindfulness, and mindfulness means that is they will take the right decisions, and right decisions means emotionally stable. Emotionally stable means forgiveness, one of the parameters of forgiveness. So, therefore, in that case you will find that is how this self control and temperance, that is leading to the mindfulness training and appraisal is there. So, it means that these core cultural values of the restorative justice orientation, of restorative justice, servant leadership, compassion, self control and temperance, then definitely that will create the organizational practices of restorative dispute resolution, employee support program, and employee support program is there, then definitely that will give you the better performance, and mindfulness training and the appraisal appreciation of the employees at the workplace. Now, this organizational forgiveness climate, right. So, what is happening is now this type of the organizational practices, because they are employee support also, they will give organizational forgiveness climate. Now, in organizational forgiveness climate, it becomes very important, that is the climate strength. So, this was the emergence phase. Now, we have come, it was the emergence phase. Now, we are talking about the sense making phase. In this case, organizational and forgiveness climate, there is the strength of the climate is, that is the major part for the forgiveness culture. Transgression, then equivocality and uncertainty, that is creating the responses to the conflicts. What type of the conflicts are there? The conflicts are empathy trigger. As you see from the culture of the in the environment, from the values to the practices, and then organizational forgiveness climate, and that will create the empathy trigger. So, in case of the empathy trigger, it becomes very, very important, that is the one person, one employee at workplace is having the high concern for others. Whenever he is having the high concern for others, so there will be the high empathy for that particular employee. Now, there will be the emotional shift. So, emotional shift will be from anger to compassion. So, therefore, in that case whenever we are talking about this particular emotional shift is there, in emotional shift it is the anger is converted into the compassion, and then whenever these type of feelings are there, that is the employees, they are not having the anger for others, right. They are emotionally stable, emotionally balanced, they are aware about themselves, they know that whatever they are doing, why they are doing, what they are doing, and therefore, they are having that particular awareness about themselves. And not only the awareness, they are also able to control their emotions and channelize the emotions, that energy, into the right direction, in the right path, and therefore, in that case that will be the emotional shift. So, this emotional shift to the conflicts, it will be positive, it will not be negative, and therefore, in that case you will find that is this particular emotional shift, that is the from anger to compassion, compassion to shift, that is becoming very very important. And in response to the conflicts in the workplace, in the environment, it is a positive emotions, an umbrella of positive emotions will be there, and then there will be the restorative change. So, we have talked about this particular restorative justice orientation. From here it is going to the restorative changes there, and therefore, because that you are able to respond to the conflict in an empathetic way, you are able to respond to the conflict by the emotional shift, naturally you are able to make that those restorative changes in the organization very positively. What is important is becoming is this, that is all these levels of multi-level model of the workplace forgiveness, it is leading towards the employee behavior, and in employee behavior it is going for the very very important employee loyalty and employee commitment. So, when we talk about the employee loyalty, that I will also discuss in later on my sessions, and employee commitment, it becomes very very important, that is how much you are committed for your relationship. If you are very much highly concerned with your this type of these relationship, then definitely in that case you will find that is the a strong relationship at the workplace that has been developed. So, it becomes important, that is the on basis of this particular organizational forgiveness climate, you are going for these particular responses to the conflicts, and in responses to the conflicts it becomes very very important, you are going in a functional conflict, you are going in a positive emotions, you are creating the practices of the mindfulness, and as a result of which you are able to create that relationship commitment. Relationship commitment will be between the employer and employee. So, therefore, in that case it becomes very very important, that is the as we have seen in our the this particular model, sorry, in particular model, that is the how this expression of forgiveness that is creating the relationship commitment, and in this relationship commitment, which is the expression of forgiveness and the relationship commitment, it is always going to be the better and better at the workplace. Now, question arises of the citizenship. What is a citizenship? And then I will talk about the interpersonal citizenship, that is the action phase. Now, when we talk about this particular action phase, it becomes very very important, that is the we are going for this in this particular model, which is going to be the avoidance and approaches focuses, and for this action phase we talk about what is the use of this practical implication. In the practical implications you will find, that is whenever we are talking about creation of organizational environment, creation of core cultural values and leaders attributes, and then the organizational practices, it becomes very very important, that is the what is why this particular model ultimately what we want to create. We want to create the employees behavior, and in employees behavior it is the interpersonal citizenship, point number 2, and it shows the duties and responsibilities, roles, duties and responsibilities. So, therefore, one should be very careful about the rights, because whenever we talk about the citizenship, citizenship talks about the rights and duties both. So, therefore, in that case when we talk about the interpersonal citizenship, in interpersonal citizenship we talk about that is the what are the rights of the individuals of employees and what are the duties of the individual employees. And when the rights and duties of the individual employees, when they mix together, then definitely in that case they find that is the a proper citizenship have been developed. Ultimately, I would like to conclude this particular model where first and foremost important factor is the organization's environment, and this organization's environment, that you have to be very careful that is the you are creating the culture, then the stakeholders culture, and then you are taking of the jobs are the interdependent and independent, both types of the job you have to consider. On basis of this particular environment, you are creating the value systems. Value systems are positive, as I mentioned, from the anger to compassion we are shifting, we are having the self control, we are having the tolerance, and our temperament is very positive, which is leading to the practices in the organization, and organization practices are the employee support program. This I will like to emphasize again, that is the yes, employee support program is there, then particular that organization will have the more positive tendencies in the practices of the employees, and mindfulness will be there. So, they will be concerned for the each other, as a result of which what will happen, because you have created a positive emotional environment at the workplace, there will be the forgiveness climate. A forgiveness climate, why should be there should be forgiveness climate, because this forgiveness climate will create more relationship commitment in the employees behavior, that is the more and more positive behavior will be there and more committed will be there, employees will be more committed. They will be the 100% loyalty and commitment, because they are having the strong employee support, which I have talked about in the organizational practices. So, when we talk about the organizational practices, employee support, more commitment because there is an empathy, there is an emotional positive emotional shift from anger to compassion. So, therefore, there is positive emotional shift, and as a result of which they will not only concern as a citizenship of interpersonal citizenship, they will not only concern with the rights, but they will also highly concern with their duties. So, this is all about, that is the developing a forgiveness organizational forgiveness climate, how to create organizational forgiveness climate in the workplace, and if organization create that particular climate, I am sure that is the employees will be highly committed, they will be not only concerned with their rights, but they will be delivering their duties 100%. So, this is all about the forgiveness. Thank you.